Hello and welcome back, Boxer1 here, and this is every Phase 2 Clone Trooper from 2020 to 2024. We're going to be looking through all of them, starting with 2020 and moving up through the years. So without further ado, let's get into it and start with 2020. The first figure of 2020 we'll be looking at is the 501st Legion 332nd Trooper, which is the non-helmet holes Ahsoka Trooper. Now, he has the, of course, Ahsoka helmet print and the normal 501st body and legs, which is also seen on another figure this year. Back printing is also the same as that other trooper. And he has the newer face for the clone trooper, which was actually released this year. And for the rest of the clones, unless said otherwise, they will also have the same face. The next figure in this lineup here is the 501st Legion Clone Trooper, and he has the same body and legs as the other one, as I said, and he also has a new helmet, though, which is pretty cool. It is exclusive to this figure, I believe, and I do not believe it was released in any other sets. The next figure here is the 501st Jet Trooper, and he's pretty cool. Now, he's slightly different than the normal 501st Trooper. He does share the same legs, but he has a different helmet and chest print, which, if we can kind of get the glare out of there, or glare, we can kind of see that, and it looks pretty nice. He has a blue jetpack, as well as blue arms. He is also one of the only Jet Troopers that we have seen in these past years. The final figure of 2020 is the 212th Airborne Trooper, and he's pretty cool. He has a very nice helmet, which is not exclusive, but the print is, and that's pretty cool. And he does also have a waist cape, which makes him extremely expensive. He is the last LEGO Clone Trooper to feature a waist plate, making him upwards of $60 in price. With all that said, we can now move on to 2021, which has some pretty good figures as well. Starting off 2021, we actually have all the members of the Bad Batch, starting with Hunter, the first member of the Bad Batch, and the only member to be featured in 2 sets. Now, he's pretty cool. He has some nice printed armor, and that armor is not exclusive to the figure, because it's also found on Wrecker, but his helmet is exclusive, and he comes with a nice little knife. Now, he does come with an exclusive face print, which is pretty cool, and if we try and get some of the glare off that, you can kind of see it a bit better, which looks pretty cool. He does have some back printing, and again, he does have a nice face print. The next figure in this lineup is Echo, and he's a bit dark, so it kind of, there we go, focus on the light there. And you can see he does have a printed comma, and that is something you'll see with all the clones now that have commas. They're all printed, which is annoying, but he does have a printed comma. He has the gray hand for his robotic hand, and he has the skull on his torso. You can kind of see that there to represent the Bad Batch. He has an exclusive face to the figure, and some pretty nice and exclusive back printing. The next figure here is Wrecker, and he uses, as I said, Hunter's torso and legs, but he does have a very nice, big, separate piece of armor that goes on top of it, and he does have that exclusive helmet as well. Underneath which has an exclusive head print, which is also pretty good. He doesn't have anything on the back, but he does have a very nice printed skull on the side of his armor. The final and most expensive figure of 2021 is Tech, and that's because he has a very specially molded helmet piece, and we'll try and get the glare off of him so you can see that nice torso. He is actually in a lighter color than the rest of them as well. He does have an exclusive face print, and it is double-sided with a backpack on it as well. And the final figure from the Bad Batch, Crosshair, or at least the bad guy of the Bad Batch as well. He's pretty cool. He has black armor and a nice green visor on his helmet. And he does get some pretty simple back printing for a backpack. He does have an exclusive face print with the crosshair on it, and it's pretty cool. And although there weren't many figures this year, I do think the lineup of them was pretty good. I mean, we got some very cool figures here, and all of them are pretty expensive besides Hunter. Starting off 2022, we have a newer style clone with a newer style of helmet with the helmet holes, which yeah, anyway, not a great change. Yeah, but this is the 212th, just basic clone. He's not really special in any way, and he does have the normal face print under there. He does, however, have a very interesting way of printed on his helmet, with an arrow that leads into a flat line. So, yeah, not the best printing. On his back, he does have some printing, though, and his torso and legs aren't that bad. The next figure in this little lineup here is Commander Cody, and he actually does have helmet holes, but I think he looks pretty good with it. And he has some very nice printing on him, a very nice torso as well, which I do think looks really good, and it's just a pretty good figure in general. He does have some nice back printing with the jetpack, and a custom face print that is not used in any other set. The next figure is the Phase 2 Gunner, and he is pretty simple. He does have that long helmet because of that helmet holes, and he does have some pretty cool torso printing. I think that looks fine. And his back printing isn't too bad either. And although 212th troopers did have those interesting helmet holes, these ones do not. These are the 187th Legion clone troopers, and they are actually pretty cool. They are, of course, Mace Windu's clone troopers, and they have a purple color scheme with a pretty nice just prints overall. This one also does have some nice back printing, but the next one I think is even cooler. He has some nice frontal printing and a printed comma, which is the only thing I don't like about him. He's an airborne trooper. I do like airborne troopers a lot. And his back printing is also pretty good. And overall, I'd say 22 wasn't a bad year. It did introduce helmet holes, which is unfortunate, but I do think it overall was pretty good. And starting off with what most people say is the worst clone trooper of the year, and maybe one of the worst clone troopers in general, it is Fox, and I actually quite like this one. If it weren't for his torso, and you can't see it really on video, but in person, it is not white on his upper chest, it is pink. And if you weren't aware, it's not supposed to be pink. It's also not supposed to be white. At least not the part under his upper chest armor. And that's supposed to be just a normal red like the rest of the figure. He also has printed commas and pretty simple back printing. Overall, while I wouldn't say it's the absolute worst figure we could have gotten, he isn't that good. And the next figure in this set does go along with Fox. It is the Coruscant Guard Trooper, and he's pretty cool. I actually quite like him. The only thing I don't like is the helmet holes. I'm not going to mention them from here on out, much anyway, because they're just present on all figures, so it kind of gets redundant. But this one does have helmet holes, and it does make it look a bit odd. Back printing with this one is, again, pretty simple. We are getting back into the 332nd with this one. We have the Jet Trooper from the 332nd Battle Pack, and this one actually released in late 2023, and is pretty cool. He also has a blue jetpack and a very nice orange rangefinder. Another figure in that set is the normal 332nd, if it will focus, trooper. Come on. There we go. If it'll focus. And yeah, it is pretty good. It is pretty simple. Not as good as the other one. I do like the helmet hole-less one a bit better, but not too bad. And it uses the same 501st clone body and legs as before. The final 332nd Trooper and the final figure from that set is Commander or Captain Vaughn. I believe it was Captain Vaughn. And he's pretty cool. He's pretty simple, though, is the thing I will say. And I do believe his helmet should have been a more darker reddish color than the orange that we did get. It doesn't really suit the character, especially if you look at the show. But he does have his rank insignia on there, and he's a pretty simple but Not too bad figure. The next figure here is the 501st Specialist, coming in the 501st Battle Pack in early 2023, and he's pretty cool. He has a rangefinder, which is a new custom molded piece for this figure, and a new torso print. The back, however, is the same as your normal trooper. Another figure released in that set that is pretty cool is the 501st Heavy Trooper, and all these classes are based on the Battlefront 2 video game. Battlefield 2 is also really good, but this one's pretty cool. I quite like him. He does have a very nice helmet print, which is exclusive. And we can see that better if we do lift up his visor. It is very simple, but pretty nice, and he does look good with helmet holes. He does also get a printed tile for his backpack, which does look pretty good. The second to last figure for 2023 is the 501st Captain, or just officer, or whatever you want to call him. I believe he's an officer, actually. And he has a printed comma, kind of annoying, but you'll see that throughout now. And he uses the normal helmet, but an exclusive torso. His back printing is a little bit different than the others, but not by much. The final figure of 2023 is the best one, I'd say, or at least one of the best. It is Captain Rex, and he does have some flaws, unlike some other Captain Rexes. This one is, it does use those new helmet holes, which is unfortunate, but he does get his rangefinder, which makes him look better. He does have a very large pauldron. As you can see, it takes up his, well, basically his whole arm. And he does also have a printed comma. He does, however, have a very nice new printed face, which is different from all of the rest. And his back printing is basically the same. He does, however, have some arm printing. And although this year did have some problems with his figures, I do think overall it was pretty good. I like getting Captain Rex, and in a later year, 2024, the next year actually, you'll see that Rex also gets released with a very, very cool $13 set, and he becomes super affordable. And starting off this year, we have the regular Phase 2 Stormtrooper, not Stormtrooper, Clone Trooper, can't believe I just said that. And that's the first time we got this guy since, I believe, the Turbo Tank Microfighter, which was pretty good Microfighter, but that was the only way to get this type of Clone Trooper for a long time. Now, this one does have helmet holes, but his torso and leg printing are pretty good. And his back printing is just the normal back printing. The next trooper you get is the 501st regular trooper, this time with helmet holes, which is a downgrade, but we'll pretend like it's an upgrade. And yeah, you get him in, I believe, 2 sets of this year, an advent calendar, and then also, I forget what the other set was. Oh yeah, the chase with Grogu. And he, of course, has the normal back printing. The final figure we can look at here is Fives. Honestly, he isn't that bad. A lot of people don't like him, and I see why. There are some problems with this guy, but I think he's good overall. Trying to get him at a good angle here for the glare. Yeah, he has a shoulder pauldron, which is nice. It is, of course, a bit flat, so it doesn't go over his body like it should. And his helmet does look a bit odd. It actually isn't very good. His helmet printing is quite different from the show, which is unfortunate. But that's a result of those. The helmet holes, of course, will strike again. He has a printed comma, which is unfortunate again. But he does have a nice printed face. And maybe, you know what? Maybe the face is the only thing good about this figure. I do like getting him. He's basically a free add-on to that Tantive 4 set. So he's not too much more expensive. But he is good on the aftermarket, of course. Either way, I don't think he's horrible, but I don't think he's done the best by LEGO. And although this year didn't have many, I do think it wasn't a horrible year. It did come out with some cool sets with these figures in them, and I did like getting Fives for the first time. But yeah, I do hope you enjoyed. This actually took me a long time to make. You'd be surprised. It took me an hour to record, I think, maybe a bit more, actually, yeah, definitely a bit more. And about an hour to find these guys all in my collection, because specifically the Bad Batch, I could not find for the life of me. They were in some random bin buried when I found them, so yeah. But either way, I do think there were some really good figures of these years. Specifically this guy, I really like that Airborne Trooper Tech. I mean, Captain Rex is great to get. Cody, there's some really good figures. Not all of them are done great, but I do think it's great to get all of them here. Anyway, I do hope you enjoyed. I shall see you next time, where I think we have something pretty cool. So I shall see you then. Goodbye.